Welcome to Lake Baikal. Woohoo!
This is how the story should have started. Instead, I need to take you back 3 months to December 2019. I was working in Somalia and everything changed. It all began with a dodgy camel burger. A day later, after arriving back in the UK, I contracted 2 serious illnesses. First, Shigella, then debilitating meningitis. I've never been so ill in my life and spent over a week in hospital, bedbound and in isolation, and my body weight and fitness ebbed away. So, with less than 3 months before I departed for Siberia, I was left with one of 2 things: the perfect excuse to abandon my expedition, or the deepest motivation to see if it's possible.
So it is March 5th, 20 past 7 in the morning, 2020, and this is the start of my Lake Baikal expedition. It's been 18 months in the planning. It's taken days just to get here, but now there's no more waiting around. 640 kilometers of frozen lake lies ahead of me. A journey across the biggest, deepest freshwater lake in the world. It starts right now. The sled, big lump that I'm dragging behind me, that weighed in at around 60 kilos, and but actually it doesn't glide along too badly on this snow. It'll be even easier once I get onto some bare ice. So I'm now in day 2 of Expedition Baikal. Yesterday managed to cover 28 miles, which I was really happy with for the first day, and especially because it was all on snow. Today I finally found this ice road. This is created by trucks and hovercrafts, fishermen heading out onto the lake, and dragging this sled on ice is so much easier compared to the snow. It just glides along almost effortlessly. Hopefully there's lots more of this to come. Morning, it's 6 a.m. on day 3. Normally I would be getting up and about now, but as you can hear, there is an almighty storm outside, and I started to realise as I lie against one part of my tent that I am part of the tent structure now, so if I move, the whole thing could buckle over. I think for now I'm going to sit tight and hope that this crazy wind abates. This is no time to be out on the lake. Madness. There are many local people who believe that Baikal is alive. They say that it howls, and I heard that howl this morning. The wind almost squished my tent like an insect. It was incredibly powerful. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like it, and then all of a sudden, like somebody flicked a switch, it stopped, and then all was calm and silent, and I got out of my tent and started the day. It didn't take long though for Baikal to issue another word of warning. Just after I crossed a pressure ridge, an icy pressure ridge, I stopped for one of my 5-minute breaks, and boom! The biggest, loudest crunch you can imagine. The entire ground shook, and it was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I didn't know where to look, what to do, whether to jump on my sled. This lake really is alive. You can hear it talking to you, cracking and squeaking and pinging. It's mesmerising. The ice here is a living beast. and you gotta treat it, as I'm finding out, with a hell of a lot of respect.
See this spindrift whisking across the ice, and in fact my 60 kilo sled is being pushed along as though it's a tissue in the wind. This is brutal out here. So, just thought I would show you what you need to do to set a tent on Lake Baikal. Instead of normal tent pegs, I've got something that looks a bit like this, which is essentially a huge screw with a handle attached. And what you could do is simply turn this by hand. But what I've got to make it a lot easier is this simple hand drill with a fixture on the end. Get that in, put some weight on it, and you can hear the ice splitting there, but eventually it will bite. And that is rock solid. Tent is not going anywhere. Easy. Now just do that times 10.
Been a good fourth day on Lake Baikal. Covered almost 29 miles today. Just set up camp. And as you can see, I built a nice snow wall around it to hopefully prevent any of the howling wind from getting to me overnight. Because as I found out, even if it's still as you set your tent in the middle of the night, a gale force wind can erupt, and I want to avoid that and try and get a good night's sleep. Now, as you can hear, if you can hear it, it's almost like the ice is alive. Can you hear that? Pinging, zipping, cracking. I have to say, it really is quite disconcerting to be sleeping on top of this ice, and it feels like a living beast. Did you hear that? What I'm trying to remind myself of is that I know that this is a metre thick, it's solid. You see trucks on here, hovercraft on here. Surely, hopefully, I won't go for a midnight dip. Still though, it's going to take some getting used to.
Good evening, it's day 6. I thought I might talk you through my evening routine because, well, today I walked 26.5 miles. There was quite a bit of navigating around broken ice, so it's not quite as far as I wanted to go, but still, it's a decent day out. But unfortunately, the job is not done. When you reach camp, there's still plenty to do, and so you need still a bit of energy in the tank to get the tent up, to build an ice wall, which is the purpose of that is to block any wind. And it can be extremely windy here on Lake Baikal. So put the ice wall up, get the tent up, and then you've got the small matter of boiling the water. And here I've got my stove going. And not only do you need water to drink, you also need water to rehydrate your tasty meals. Let's see what I've got tonight. Ooh, posh pork and beans, that sounds excellent. Looking forward to that. All of this takes a couple of hours after what is already quite a long and arduous day. And by the end of all that, probably my favourite part of the day is to crash into my sleeping bag, my really toasty sleeping bag, and call it a night and get some much needed rest. And with that, you might notice a lot of steam. Time for my dinner. Over and out.
I didn't know it then, but my life was about to change forever. Here at this rock, halfway across the lake, my wife called me to reveal that she was pregnant with our first child. As I stood beside the final village, before the 200 miles of emptiness that lay ahead, I contemplated leaving Lake Baikal and travelling home. The hard choice to continue was one I almost came to regret.
To day 8 of Expedition Baikal, and this is by far the toughest day yet. As you can see, the weather is really grim. There's lots of spindrift, heavy winds, it's cold. Not only that, over the last 7 days I've walked over a marathon distance every day, hauling this 60 kilogram bulk, and now it's really starting to take its toll. My Achilles feel incredibly tight, the soles of my feet are so sore from the constant 60,000 steps of pounding each day on the steel hard ice. It's tough out here, it's really tough, and on days like this you just gotta find a way just to keep on moving. One good motivator is the cold. You can't sit around in this cold for too long without just freezing, so you know, have a small rest, have some food, and just got to keep moving. I know that the storm will blow over today or tomorrow or the next day. You just got to find a way to get over it. Not easy, but this is what I signed up for. It's day 10 of my Baikal expedition, and I've now entered the northern part of the lake. And from here, the next civilization is around 200 kilometers away. So it is incredibly isolated. And you can notice it. I've just sat down, and today is a very still day. There's no wind, which is unusual for Lake Baikal. But there is not a sound in the air. No animal noises, no cracking ice, no vehicles. Not a single sound in the air. Absolutely remarkable. Baikal can be a big, open, lonely place at times like this. But it's also pristine and beautiful and immaculate and totally enchanting. I'm going to say I'm having just about the most miserable and demoralising day. It's day 13, and I had hoped to finish around 15 or 16 days, but that's looking more and more unlikely. There was a terrible storm overnight, lots of heavy snow. My skis aren't operating as they should. Look at that. Great big clumps of snow sticking to the inside of my skis. I think because it's quite warm actually, it's only 1 or 2 degrees, so I think with that it's just sticking to the skis. It is really hard work, really demoralising. Not enjoying it one bit today. And I've got about 75 miles to go till the end. My previous pace, sort of 25, 26 miles a day, that was fine, but it's a whole different beast now. Whole different beast. This is the dark storm that's been following me all day. Just keeps rolling in off these western mountains. It looks like it's coming in again. Time to take another batter in, I think. Right, hood up, crack on. Yeah, as predicted, here's the storm. Ah, grim. Absolutely grim. Keep plodding on. Woken up and very happy to report that the storm has passed. Look, mountains. I can see the tops of them, and I can see the sun rising over there. Today is going to be a good day. You know, yesterday was the first time on my trip that I thought about calling it a day. There'd been a terrible storm overnight. There was lots and lots of fresh powder. My Achilles are both swollen, my knees and hips are aching, the soles of my feet are bruised. Already I've covered almost 400 miles, and now, even though there's only 80 miles, yesterday just almost finished me off. In fact, it was so hard that it took me 4 hours to cover 4 miles in the morning yesterday, and it was totally demoralizing. I really had to dig deep to find another source of motivation, and one thing that helped was knowing that that storm would eventually pass, and knowing that there may well be better weather, better days ahead. And today it's just totally made it all worth it. If you look behind me, you can just see the most beautiful, pristine mountains. It is glorious here. And you know, on days like this, you appreciate everything. You appreciate the silence, the beauty, the solitude. No longer on a day like this does it feel like a lonely and desolate place. It feels like the most magical and mystical place on earth. It really is special. And now I'm less than 60 miles to go, and there is not one scrap of doubt in my mind that I'm going to finish this expedition. I'm going to finish in style. I am smiling from ear to ear right now, because as I get within 50 miles of the end, and after several days of extreme difficulty slogging through snow, deep snow on skis, I found a road. Oh, this is bliss. I cannot tell you how amazing this feels to be on foot with the sled skidding along on the ice with blue skies overhead, the sun perched on top of the mountains, and the last couple of days lying between me and the end of this amazing expedition. I'm all loaded up now for what should hopefully be my last day on the ice. I've got about 20 miles to go until the finish. There is a lot of deep powder, so it's not going to be easy, and it's a cold morning. It's about -18 right now, so it's a chilly one, but one last push to get me there, to get me to the end of the world's biggest, deepest, most brutal frozen lake. Let's do it. One last push. This now marks the last 100 meters of my epic Lake Baikal expedition, and with this final stretch, all the hopes, all the dreams, all the fears, all the doubts come together into one point, and it's now that I realise just what an epic journey this has been. There's been so many moments of uncertainty, so many moments of difficulty. This is no small challenge. In fact, I would say it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, physically and mentally. It has been extremely tough, but I'm so proud to have got here. I'm so relieved that it's over, and now I am very ready for a warm shower and for a long rest, for a cold beer. Bring it up. Expedition Baikal complete.